Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be doing the e-commerce product page challenge. So you can head over into frontend.io/challenges. You can search for this challenge. You can click on this card and then you can just say download the starter if you have the download button here, but for mine I'm just going to say visit challenge hub. And then actually no, let me just check if I have the files. Okay, so I already have the zip file downloaded here, e-commerce product page main. If you don't have them, then just click on download starter and it's going to download this zip file. So I'm just going to extract this here, extract it, and then I'm going to right click on this and say open with code. And we're going to be building this in React and Tailwind CSS. So what I've done is I have a new React application canvassed, and I've done that using, where is it? npx create React app, and I've called my application e-commerce product page. So you can go ahead and run this command and it's going to create a new React application for you. And then once I do that, then I'm going to just say code e-commerce-product page, which is going to open up another instance of Visual Studio Code into this folder right there. So I'm going to close this and place this to the left and then place this to the right because we want to do a bit of copying and pasting. And so what we're going to do is this. I'm going to copy the style guide, the readme template, the index HTML, the images, and the design. So just copy, and then inside my React application, just say paste. Okay, and then inside this git ignore, I'm going to select everything, and then inside my React application git ignore, I'm going to go to the bottom and paste this in, and then now we can close this and make this to be full screen, and then change this into line 36, change this into line 29, and then this into line 30, and then you can save it. And then now let's open up the design file here. Let's open up the design file. So we have the, come on, where's the desktop design? Oh, we can just open the mobile design, it's okay. Hello there, I'm hoping to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So please subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and ring the notification bell so that you're always going to be notified of when I upload a new video. So let's just build out the UI first of all. And what I'm going to do is for this section, we're going to create an array of objects, and then we're going to be mapping over them and then displaying these images on the screen. And so before we begin, actually, let me just go ahead and install Tailwind CSS. So Ctrl and J to open up your terminal, and then let's open up our browser. Let's go into Tailwind CSS. Let's go into the installation. Let's go to the framework guides. This one, using this open. Okay, and then let's go to create React app. Let's copy this and paste it here, let it run. Copy this second one and let it run. So paste in the second one, and then let's copy this line here, this line, and then inside the Tailwind config file that it has just created, let's paste this in and save it. Don't forget to save it. And then let's go ahead and copy these 3 lines inside the source folder, inside our index.css. Let's paste it on top, and then let's go ahead and now we can run our server. But before we do that, let me install React icons. So npm install React icons, and React icons are going to be the icons that we're going to use for this and for this, as well as I think the cat icon. Maybe not. I'm still thinking about it. So let's see. So there we go. So it has finished installing, and then we can now say npm run start, which is going to run our server on localhost 3000. And then let's just do a bit of cleanup. So we're going to delete the app.css, the app.test.js, the logo, reported vitals, and let's set up tests, delete them. And then inside the index.js, let's remove this because we've deleted this file, and remove this as well. And then let's go ahead inside the app.js, let's remove these 2 lines, and then let's remove this as well. And then yeah, we can remove this as well, like this. So let's return on each one that says e-commerce product page, and then we can save it. There we go. So our application is now here, and let's go ahead and change this title. Let's change the title here to say front and mentor is called e-commerce product page. Save it, and then now let's delete this favicon from here so that we can replace it with the favicon from Frontend mentor. So copy this, copy and paste it inside the public folder, so the favicon, and then now we need to change it. We need to change it here. Where is it? Here. Sorry, that's not the one. This one, favicon dash 32 times 32.png, and then let's just copy this, by the way, and let's also just replace this, and then we can remove this all the way to here. We don't need the manifest JSON file as well, so we can just delete the manifest JSON. And you know what, we can delete these two logos as well, so this one and this one, just delete them, so that we only have the index.html, the robots, and the favicon inside here. And then we can remove this comment, and then I hope I remember to change this color, and let me see if I can get it from the style guide. Actually should be orange, so just copy this inside the index.html. Let's just paste it inside here, and there we go. Okay, and I read somewhere that it's not recommended to add in HSL values inside the meta theme color content, but I can't remember whether I'm dreaming about that or whether it's actually true, and I actually do need to do a bit more research, so I'm just going to have it in as it is right now. So let's have this. Let's see. So we have e-commerce product page here, and then you can see that even our favicon has changed. So let's place this. And not, let me just have it to be, should I have it to be full screen first or mobile first? Let's have it mobile first. And then let's grab this font. So we want the 400 and 700 font weights. Let's go ahead into fonts.google.com. We can close this, we can close this, and we can close this, can remain open. So we need the 400 and 700. So medium, sorry, the regular 400 and the bold 700. Let's copy the import here, copy this, and let's paste it inside our index.css right on top of this. And then let's change the font family here to say sans with a fallback of sans serif. We can build the margin from here, and then let's add a bit more globals here. So let's specify that all the images should have a max width of 100% so that they don't overflow outside of the container in which they are placed. And then let's say for the URLs, then the list style type should be none, so that we don't have bulleted lists. And then we can remove this part, we don't need it. And then I think we can remove this part as well, so that we're going to have this to be the basics. And then now let's see, we can close this, we can close. I don't think whether we're going to be using any of these colors really, because Tailwind has most of these colors by default. So let's close this, and then let's close this favicon as well. And let's close the config file, let's close the git ignore, and let's begin working on this. Let's see. So the first thing that I want to do is I actually want to create an array of objects for all of this, and the array of objects is going to be the images only. So we're going to do this. So inside the source folder, we're going to create a new file called data.js, and inside here I'm going to say export const data, and then this is going to be an array of objects. So it's going to be structured as follows. It's going to have the ID, which is going to be our unique key. It's going to have the main image, which is going to be the big image that we have here, and then it's going to have the thumbnail. So thumbnail, which is going to be the thumbnail of the projects. And yeah, let me just call it main image. It doesn't really matter all that much. And then this is going to be coming from /images / let me say image dash product dash one .jpg. And then the thumbnail image is going to be this one, but it's going to be called thumbnail. So product one dash thumbnail. And then we need 4 of these. So copy this, and using Shift Alt and then the down key, so 1 2 3, to paste it 4 times. So change this to 2, change this to 2. So just grab this and say Control D, so 1 2, change this to 3, change this, scroll down a bit, change this to 4, and that should be it. If there's anything that we need to add, we're just going to add it in. And then now, in order for this to actually work, then these images should be served from the public folder. So I'm going to grab these images all the way up to here, cut them out, And then inside the public folder, I'm going to create a new folder called images, and then just paste them in. Oops, did I? Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. And then let me see these other images. We can now cut them out from here and paste them inside the source folder. So paste them inside. So only the images that we want to like scroll to here are going to be served from the public folder. Okay, let's see. This shouldn't be here. Let me see. Yeah, this favicon shouldn't be here, so we can delete it. And then we can close this. Okay, and then now let's go ahead and begin working on our UI. So inside the app.js, let's do this. I don't know whether I'm going to create multiple components for all of these. I might just put everything in the app.js. It doesn't really like change anything all that much. So inside here, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and let's do this. Let's say import use state from React, and then let's give this const. Let's call our state values. Should I say, let me just say products. And then because we're not going to be using the function, or at least I don't think we're going to be using the function, then we don't need to access the function here. So you can just say use state and pass in the data that we have, and the data is going to be the one that I've just created, which we also need to import. So I'm going to say import data as a named import from /data, and it is a named import because it is a named export here. So if you had export default data, then you can name this whatever you want and it's going to work. And then just to test whether this is working, then you can go inside this h1 and you can return data.length to see whether you are getting anything back. And if you are, then you should see 4 here. So you can say 4 items and you can say 4 items. There we go. So our data is working correctly. And now what we need to do is just create the header first of all. So we need to create this header, and then we can go ahead and create this showcase section. So let me create a component on top of the function here, and let me call this function header. And then let's go ahead and say let's return a fragment here. So let's return a div first of all. This div is going to be our image, and the image is going to be our logo. So let's go ahead and import the logo. So I'm going to say import logo from, should be coming from ./images/logo.svg. And then below this div, we're going to have, let me see, not below the div, it's going to be right below the image. We're going to have a navbar with ULs with how many list items? Let me see, 1 2 3 4 5. So 5 of them. Oops, li times 5. And then this first one is going to be collections, and then men, and then women about contact. So women, and then about, and then finally contact. And then outside of this div, we're going to have another div, and then this other div is going to be these 2 buttons. So I'm going to have a UL with 2 list items, and then these 2 list items are going to be buttons. And so this second one is not going to be a button, it's only going to be the avatar image. So I'm going to replace this to be an image, and I'm going to call this image avatar, which we're going to import. And then inside here, we are going to be rendering a React icon called FA_cut, which we're also going to import. So let's go ahead and let's import FA_cut from react-icons/fa. And then let's also import the avatar icon. So import avatar from ./images/ should be icon. Is it icon avatar? Let me check. Image avatar. So image, is it PNG or JPEG? PNG. Image-avatar.png. And then let's go ahead and now render our image here. Sorry, not render our image, but render our header. So instead of rendering this, let's just render the header. Save it, and then let's see what we have on the screen. We should see something, but we see nothing. Let's reload. Is this even working? Compiling, it does that sometimes. So it says, so FA_cut does not exist. That's basically this error that it's saying. FA_cut does not exist. So let's just go into React icons, then let's search for the cut icon so that we can get the correct one. So cut, let's use this one. Is there FA cart? Let me see. Or it's FA shopping cart. Let's just use this one. Yeah, let's use this one. I like this one. So let's close this. Let's paste this here. And then let's paste this here and import it from AI. And then let's see what we have on the screen. And there we go. So we have our cart icon, we have our image, and then we have our header here. And then what you can do now is you can just tell it out if you want. So give this a class name of flex. My keyboard language has changed. Has it? It does that. Why does it do that? So flex item center and justify between, and then padding all round of 8 and border, border dash bottom and border dash, let's say slate dash 400. So to have the border on the bottom here. There we go. And you know what? That is the wrong thing. So I'm going to grab all of this, cut it out, place it inside a header tag. And then I'm going to grab these styles, cut them out and place them inside here, because this also need to be inside the header. There we go. That's correct. And then remember, this is for mobile, for desktop screens, but we're going to be starting with the mobile. Or you know what? Let's do it a bit different. Let's do this. I'm going to give this a class name of flex. Let me see, should go here. There we go. And then item center and justify start with a gap of 4. And then let's go inside this UL. And you know what? The UL is going to be styled the same way. So you can just copy these classes, paste them inside here. There we go. And then we need to do the same for this. And you know what? It's going to be styled the same way as well. So copy this and paste it here. And should be there. And then you can just reduce the size of this image. So give this image a class name of width-20. Nope, width-12. And we're going to have that. And then let's go inside the header. Let's give it a max width of, let's say 7XL. How does 7XL look? 7XL should be fine. Yes, should be fine. 7XL. And then let's say MX auto so that it is properly centered. Like that. Fantastic. Fantastic. And then now let's go ahead and let's render our products here. So we're going to have a section, and then inside this section we're just going to say products dot map, and then for every product that we get back, let me call it an item instead of calling it product. Let's return, let's return an article, and then this article is going to have a key of item.id. On top of this we're going to have an image. This image is going to be item.image, dot main image. And then below this we're going to have another image, and you know what, not even another image but a UL. And you know what, I'm doing this wrongly, by the way. I have just realized that I'm doing this wrongly. So let me show you the wrong thing first, and then I'm going to show you how to correct it. So inside this UL we're going to have images, and then we're going to say item.thumbnail. And when I save this, then we're going to have all the images here. So we have the big image, then the thumbnail, and so on and so forth. But that is not what we want to happen. Instead, we only want to access the first image, only the first one, and then show the thumbnail image, and then we can show, sorry, what am I saying? We only need to access the first image to show the big image, and then the thumbnail images can be on the bottom. So I took a little break because there was a lot of noise from outside, but I think we stopped here where we were displaying this on the screen, and you can see that this is not exactly according to design, so we are going to fix it right away. Now what we need to do is, if you check the design, then we need to get the first image and only the first image to display as the big image, and then the rest of them can display as thumbnail images. So what we're going to do therefore is this. We are going to be destructuring, we're going to be destructuring the first image from the products that we have in our array. And in order to do that, actually we need to set up another state value, and I'm going to call this state value, and then I'm going to set the function to be set value. This is going to be equal to useState. By default it's going to be 0, not an empty array, 0. And then I'm going to say this is going to be equal to products of value. And then inside here we're going to be destructuring the should be the main image. So get the main image. And what this means is that get the main image from the product, which is equal to the current value. And this value is going to be equal to the index of the item in our array of objects. So that means that we are going to have to remove this, right? But now, instead of removing everything inside here, I'm just going to remove the article and this image here. And then we are going to set the key on the UL equal to item.id, because the ID is the unique key that we have in our array of objects. And then now what we need to do is, on top of this, we need to display an image. And then this image is going to be the main image. So we're going to be displaying the main image. Like so. So that now when I save this, then something should reset on the screen and we should go back to the top. Let this just reload for a moment, compiling. Okay. And so once this reloads, you can see that now we only have one big image. And then we have our thumbnail images on the bottom, because our thumbnail images are this UL. Now I want to show you something. If you change the default value here to 1, then this big image should change into the second image here. You can see. So we have the big image here, and then it's showing the second image, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be setting this value on this UL, and you know what, this UL should return a list item. So return a list item like so. So that now I'm going to place an on click on this list item, so that when I click on this, when I click on this list item, then it's going to be toggling the value here dependent on the current image. So I'm going to say set value into the index, and the index is going to be the index of the current thumbnail image. That means therefore that we need to also get the index from here. So get the index, so that when I save this, and you know what, let's even style this out just so that it looks a bit better. And we're going to do this. I'm going to grab all this, place it inside an article, and then I'm going to grab, let me grab this and place it inside a div. And you know what, this structure looks a bit weird, because now it's going to be rendering four ULs instead of list items. So let me grab this, and using the Alt key, just hold down the Alt key, push it upwards, and then grab this, push it downwards, and then you can remove this div and remove this div. And then now we're going to grab this key from here and place it here, so that now it renders only one UL but with multiple list items. That is much better. So that now when I save this, and let's go ahead, let me just style this out. Give this a class name of flex and item center, and justify start with a gap of 3, and then I'm going to say flex wrap. And then on this image, let's give this images a class name of about, let's say width -20, just for testing it out. And then inside this section, I'm going to give this section a class name of max width 7XL and MX auto, just like we did on our header. So that when I save this, then this should reset just a bit. So it goes here, and then let me see, let's reduce the size of this image. Give this image a class name of height dash, let's say about 96. And you know, the reason why it's so big is because it's only one grid, right? So let's display it as 2 grids instead. So let me add another article here. And then for now, this article is just going to have an H1 that has some dummy text, so Lauren 5, just to see that it's going to work. And then inside this section, let's display this section as a grid with grid columns 1 to begin with. And then on large screens, I'm going to say grid columns 2. And then let's add a gap of about 10. So that we're going to have this. So that's a bit more manageable, right? And now look at this. Now when I click on this image, then the image should show up here. But when I click on the first one, the first image shows up, and on this one, this shows up. And would you look at this? So that functionality is already working as you expect, but now we only need to add some kind of indicator that we are on this image. For example, when I click on this image, then it should show that we are on this image, right? So let's go ahead and do this. Let me close this. So let's go and reduce this to about height dash 9/12. So 9/12, is that okay? Let's say height dash 6/12, that's a half, right? Is this even reloading? Is that even reloading? Let me try width dash width. Oops. Width. I can't type width dash half. Okay. So let's say width dash 9/12. How big is that? Let's work with this for now. I might increase this, but I just want it a bit smaller because I don't want the overflow to show up. And so let's do this. This image needs to have a rounded border. Yes. And these images also need to have a rounded border. So let's say rounded dash 2xl on this image. And then let's do the same for these smaller images. So on these smaller images, let's say rounded dash, let me say XL for these small ones because they are smaller, right? And then increase this gap. It's a bit too small. So here, let's increase this to gap 5. Okay. And then on this UL still, let's increase a margin top of 5. Let's add a margin top of 5 so that it pushes away from this image. And then now what we need to do is we need to set a dynamic class name on this list item so that when we click on one, like it shows that you're currently on this one. And also let me add a cursor pointer on it as well. So here let's add a class name, and this is going to be dynamic, so I'm going to place it inside curly brackets. Oops, that's my phone. So here we're going to say this. We're going to say that when the index is equal to the value is true. So when this is true, then we want to add class names. We want to add, let's say, border dash 2 and border orange dash 400, and then opacity dash 80. Let's save this. Let's see what we have. Should show up. There we go. Would you look at this? So now when we are on an image, then it shows this outline, and this one as well, and this one as well. And all we need to do now is we need to add a border on the actual list item even when it is not active, so that, see how like when you click on one, it's as though like they resize just a bit. I mean, it's negligible really, but like I don't want to have it. So what I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to grab this part. I'm going to grab it, cut it out, and place it inside template literals like so. And you know what, that's not so. Cut it out again. Oops. And we're going to say $sign and then our brackets, and then paste this in. What am I doing? Cut this out. Remove this. Paste it inside here. There we go. And so what this means is that these classes here are only going to apply when the index is equal to the value. And then outside of this expression, then we can add other classes that we want to be default. So outside of this, I'm going to add a border of 2. Oops, can't type. Border of 2. And then a border of transparent. And then I'm going to add a rounded of XL so that this is also rounded, and then this has a transparent border by default, but then when it is active, it has a border of orange 400. So I'm going to save this, and then let's see. So this should resize, and now the border doesn't show up, and the border doesn't show up. Why? So let's remove this from here. But then the default border is usually like a very light gray. I mean, it's visible here if you look close enough. And then, you know what, let me increase the border radius of this. So here, let's make this 2xl so that like it covers the image properly. And that doesn't work well, so let's remove this from here. Let me see. Reset. Okay. And then let's go ahead and say, where is it here? Let's say overflow hidden, so that the image is placed inside there. There we go. Okay, so we can have that, and then let's have a cursor pointer. So let's say cursor dash pointer. Save it, and then when you hover it, now it has a cursor pointer, and we can scroll through the images. And then let's increase the size of this image. Let's increase this to about 11/12. And then now what we need to do is we need to go inside this section. We need to add a margin top of 10 to push away from the header. And then now let's go ahead and deal with this section next. So for our, where is it? For this section, let's have, how is it structured? an h2, an h1, a paragraph. So inside this article, let's have an h2 first of all that says sneakers company, sneakers company. And then below this, we're going to have an h1 that says something. Let me open our index.html template here so that we can just copy and paste. So this one, copy and paste it here, and this is sneaker, I've just noticed. Okay, and then below this, we're going to have a paragraph. The paragraph says this, so paste it inside here. And then below this, we have, how is this structured? We have the price here, we have the discount. How is it on mobile? So on mobile, there flexbox, this is to the end, and then on desktop it's these two, and then this on the bottom. So let's do this. So below this paragraph, let's have a div. This div is going to have a ul with two list items. This first one is going to be the price, so 125.00, and then this second one is going to have a strike through text saying 50%. So this s is a strike through. That's how you add this. Oh wait a minute, that's not the correct one. It should be on the next one. This is the discount. And then below this, let's just have it as a paragraph inside a strike through text that says 50. Wait, what am I doing? That says $250. So 250.00. Okay, and then below this div, we're going to have another div. Let's say this div is going to be a ul. So a ul with three list items. The first one is going to be minus, and then the price, not the price, this is the quantity, and then plus. So let me just see, we have the plus and minus icons here. So we're going to have an image inside the first one. Inside here, we're going to have an image, img, come on. This one says the minus, which we're going to import, and then this one says 0. And not, this is going to be dynamic, by the way, so this should say amount, and then this one should say plus. So let's go ahead and create this state value and import these two images. So I'm going to say import minus from /images/icon -minus.svg. Copy this downwards, change this to plus, and then change this to plus. And then let's go ahead and import, not import, but create our state value here. So I'm going to say const amount and set amount. This is equal to use state. By default is going to be 0, so that now when you go to the bottom here, the amount is going to show 0 because that is the default state value here. And then let's see what we need to do next. We need to have our add to cart button. So below this ul, we're going to have a button. This button is going to say our shopping cart icon, which I believe we have this one. So copy this, paste it inside here to be a React component. And then the text is going to say add to cart. Is it capitalized? No, it's not. Okay. So add to cart, and then what else? That is the only thing that we need. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and let's save this. Let's see what we have on the screen here. Should appear here. What's wrong? Compiling. Why is it taking so long to compile? I mean, okay, there we go. Let's see. And there we go. So this is our strike through text. This is our icon plus does not exist, does it? Icon plus.svg. Why isn't it showing up? Oh, you know what? This should be an image. Should be an image. Source for this is going to be plus. Okay, there we go. So let's begin to style this out. So let me place this to the right because it's going to be easier, and then this to the left. And I've just realized this is a problem. See how this is a problem? That is a problem. So let's go back. Let's go back on top here. Change this into widthful, and it should go all the way to the end. And then we're going to fix other things later. But for now, let's just begin to style this out. So inside the h2, we're going to give this a class name of bg slate -100, padding y of 2, padding x of, not padding y of 1, padding x of 2, and then text orange -400, and then uppercase text, and then let's see tracking wide to increase the letter spacing. Then let's see, we should also say text small to reduce its size for this one. There we go. And then let's say font bold, and then make it an inline block. Then let's give it a rounded border with a very slight box shadow. There we go. And then let's say margin bottom of 10 to push away from the H1. And then let's go inside this H1, give this a class name of text slate 900 and margin bottom of 10, and then font bold, and then text 3XL. Save it. Let's see. Okay. And then we're going to say that for large screens, then the text should go into 4XL. I think that should be enough. And then for this paragraph, give this paragraph a class name of text slate 600, margin bottom of 10. Let's see. And then let's say leading relaxed. Not, let's say leading loose. Loose is about line height of 2, right? That should be okay. This seems too much. So let's say leading relaxed. And then let's go inside this div. Let me check something. Is the 50% style the same way? No. Okay. Now let's go ahead and copy this part for the H2. So copy these class names. Copy. And then let's go inside this 50% list item, paste it in, remove the uppercase here, change this BG into orange, and then let's save it. Let's see. Should restyle that. That's looking okay. And then now let's go inside this first list item. Is it bold? Yes, it's bold and a bit bigger. How does it look on mobile? Yeah, bold and a bit bigger. So give this a class name, text slate of 900, font bold, and text XL. Save it. Let's say 2XL. And then let's go inside this UL. And you know what? Not even inside the UL. Let's go inside the paragraph first. Give this a class name of text slate 600 and text dash small. Make it even smaller. And then we can go inside this UL. Where is a margin? I added a margin here. This one, because I copy pasted it. So remove this margin. Okay. And then let's go inside this div. Give this a class name of flex and flex wrap, so that they automatically go into the next line if they reach the end. And then item center, and then justify between, so that they go all the way to the end. So 1, 2, all the way to the end. And then inside this list item, inside the UL, give this a class name of flex and item center with a gap of 2 to separate this out here. Let's say gap of 5. That's much better. And then let's go ahead and let's deal with this UL. So give this UL a class name of flex and items dash center, and justify between. Let's see. And you know what? Let's go inside this div, give this a class name of, let's say, margin top 10. Okay. And then inside this UL, let's give this a BG slate of 100. Let's see how that looks. Yes. And then a padding Y of 2, padding X of 4 with a very slightly rounded edge, and then a slight box shadow as well. Save it so that we don't have that. And then that's looking okay. And then let's go inside the button. So inside this button, let's give this button a class name of flex, so that the icon and the text go into one line. And then let's say item center, and then let's add a gap of 4 to separate out the icon from the thingy, the text. And then let's give it a BG orange 400, and then padding Y of 2, and then padding X of 4. And then let's just say width dash full. How does it look on mobile first? It's a full width on mobile. And then let's say text center. Text center will work, will it? No, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? So let me see something. I've introduced a scroll bar somewhere because of width full. Why is this scroll bar here? Okay, the header is overflowing. Okay. So let me see, BG orange 400, let's say orange 600, let's say 500. And then let's change the text to white. So text white. I mean, I do realize that like this is not the color provided in the design, but I'm just using the tailwind colors. It doesn't really matter all that much. So change this to text white and font dash bold, and then let's say give this a rounded dash large with a very slight box shadow as well. And then now let's say margin top of 4 or of 5 to push away from this part, and then this should still be a width of full. But why doesn't the text go to the center? I want the text to go to the center. How do I do that? I can't do that on a button, can I? I cannot do that on a button. So let me see if I make this a block element. No, because it's a flex here. So grab this, place it inside the div, and then inside this div, let's give this a class name of text-center. And then let's remove bg orange. Actually, this can remain. And then what we need to do is remove this from here, is it? And then we need to go here, and then let's say mx auto, which should center it. Or not. Block. What is happening? I can't style a button. Really? I seriously can't style a button? Are you for real? Let's copy this, then remove this, and then let's start again. So we have a button. The button says add to cart. Oh, you know what? I just realized what the problem is. It's because of Flexbox. It is because of Flexbox. So item center here, and then I should say justify center. We should move it to the center. Or not? Are you serious? If I add width full now, there we go. There we go. Okay. And then now let's go back inside the parent article of this one. So starting from this h2. So the parent article is this one, and then let's give this a class name of padding on the x of 8 to push everything inwards. There we go. And then let's also add a padding bottom of 10 to push, like to add some bit of spacing here on the bottom. Okay, so that looks nice. And when I click on this, I want that this increases. So let's add that functionality. It's very simple functionality. So inside this list item, we're just going to say on click, then we're going to access our value, which is called set amount. So set amount, and we're going to say amount plus 1. So set it equal to amount plus 1, and then copy this, paste it inside here, set this equal to amount minus 1, save it, and then we're going to say plus 1 and then minus 1. And then you know what, when I reach 0, I always want that the amount cannot go into the negative, because you can't have negative stock, right? So we are going to say this. I'm going to grab this, and then I'm going to say, let's create a function called, what should I call this? Let me just call it handle minus, because I can't think of anything right now because I am also sick. So on top of this, let's go ahead and create our function here. We're going to say const handle minus is equal to, and then you can paste this in. We're going to say set amount into amount minus 1, and then below this we're going to say if amount is less than or less than, yeah, if amount is less than 0, then set amount into 0. So you can have this because you only have one thing coming from the if statement. And then we're going to do that. Let me say, so if amount is less than 0, set amount into 0. You know what, this is wrong. Let me see, try it out. If amount is less than or equal to 0. There we go. So if amount is less or equal to 0, yeah, that's much better. And then let's go ahead and make this into cursor pointer. So where we have our buttons here, so on, not on hover, class name, give this cursor pointer, and then copy this and paste it here. So that way, now when you hover over them, then it is a cursor pointer. And then now let's go ahead and handle our header. Let's fix our header. So where we have our header, right inside here, we have a navbar. I'm going to give this a class name of hidden by default. that it disappears and we don't have the overflowing effect. And then let's go inside this button. Let's increase the size of this icon. So class name text to XL to make it just a bit bigger. And then let's also say text slate 600. That's looking okay. That's looking okay. And then I've just remembered on mobile, we don't have rounded edges here and we don't have these icons. I've just remembered. I have just remembered. Yeah, so we only have this on mobile. And then we also have this icon. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's see. Let's go back to our top image, which should be this one. And then we're going to say that this is only going to apply on large screens. So that we don't have a rounded border here. There we go. And then we need to remove this margin on the top. So here, and I'm going to say that this is only going to apply for large screens as well. There we go. And then we need to hide this by default. So let's go ahead and insert this UL. Inside this UL, we're going to say this is only going to display on large screens. And then we're going to set it to hidden by default. So save it and it should disappear. There we go. So this is what we're going to have on mobile. And then we only need to add our two icons here to scroll it. So let's go ahead and do this. Let me grab this. Let's restructure a bit. Place it inside a div. And then paste this in. And then we're going to have two ULs. So we're going to have one UL with two list items. And then inside here, we're going to have buttons. And then these buttons are going to be clickable, which are going to be our chevron icons. So here button, and then here button. And then we're going to be using an icon called FA chevron. This is right, because it's the right button here. And then copy this and paste it here. So FA chevron left. So left from React icons. So let's import them. So inside here, let's just copy this down. Let's import FA chevron left and FA chevron right from React icons /FA. So make it the correct folder from font awesome. And then save it, and they should appear somewhere here. There we go. So these are our two icons. And then let's go ahead and style them out. So this button and this button are going to be having the same styles. So I've added two cursors by just clicking where I want the first cursor to be, holding down the Alt key, and then clicking where I want the second cursor to be. And I can have multiple cursors. So I'm going to say give this a class name of BG white and rounded dash full and padding all round of 5 with a very slight box shadow. And then let me position this as absolute from the top. Position absolute, bring this to the left of 0, and then this second one bring it to the right by 0. And then we need to go into the parent, which is now this div, give this a class name of relative, so that the icons are now going to be positioned relative to the parent div, which is holding this image, so that when I save it, then the images should appear somewhere here or not. So left 0. So now I should bring it to the top. What is the top by a half? Does exist. Top a half exists. So you should bring it here now. And then do the same for this one. Copy this, paste it here, and it should come here. And then you know what? Let's say left of 2 and then right of 2, so that they're not completely to the edge. I mean, are they to the edge in the design? Where is it? No, they are not. So let's increase it. So let's say left of 4 and right of 4. And then now what we need to do is, you can see that they are a bit offset from the top, right? Like they are just a bit more to the bottom than they are to the top. So here and here, once again, I'm just going to say minus transform. Wait, minus transform, translate. Minus translate on the y-axis, minus translate y dash a half. That's the class. Save it. And there we go. So that now they are perfectly centered. Okay. So that is absolute positioning, by the way. If you don't understand it, then just go through the CSS part, and then you'll realize what this does. Or you can watch the short that I made about absolute positioning. Okay. So these are our icons, and then now what we need to do is we need to be able to scroll, right? So let's go ahead and create our scroll behavior. And for our scroll behavior, then we're going to add in another state value. So here we're going to say const slide index. And if you watched the video where I did the room homepage, then this is basically the very same thing that we're going to be doing. So set slide index, this is going to be use state. By default is going to be 1, and then we're going to create a previous slide function and a next slide function. So let's go ahead and create them. So for the next slide function, let me go below. This appears first and then this appears, but this appears on the bottom. So let me go below this. So let's go ahead and say const next slide. This is going to be an arrow function. You can use the normal functions if you want. I just want to use arrow functions, and then copy this and paste it on the bottom. Change this to previous slide. So previous slide, and then inside here we're going to say this: if the slide index is not equal to the products dot length, then what we want to do is set slide index into the slide index plus 1, meaning increment it and go to the next slide. And then else, if we're going to say if the slide index is equal to the products dot length, then we're going to say this: we're going to say set slide index into 1, meaning take it back to the first slide. And then we're going to do this for the previous slide. We're going to say if the slide index is not equal to 1, then set slide index into the slide index minus 1, so go to the previous one. And then below this we're going to say else, if the slide index is equal to 1, then we're going to say set slide index into the products dot length, meaning take it back to the like the whatever, the can't think, oh my god, the last one. Can't think. I'm a bit sick, by the way. I don't know whether I mentioned it, but I'm feeling a bit sick. So let's go ahead and call these functions. So where we have our icons, where are they? Here. So on the list items, now I'm going to call the icons, sorry, I'm going to call the functions on the list item. Should I call it on the list item? You know what, let me call it on the button, because I've set the button to have a padding and a background color. So here I'm going to say on click, then we want to call the next slide. Actually, this is the previous slide. And then here we're going to say on click, then we're going to call the next slide. Save it, and then let's try it out. So previous, and I'm missing something. What am I missing? And what I'm missing is we should be displaying all the images. Let me see. That means that we're going to have to restructure a bit. Oh my god, restructuring and restructuring. So on top of this, let's have a div. Let's have a div inside here, and then inside this div, let's say products dot map. So for every item that we get back, item, and then let's also get the index because we need it for our scrolling behavior. So let's go ahead and return. We're going to be returning, you know what, we're going to be returning this image, I think it is. Let's see, let's return the div. Let's return this entire div. Let me see whether this is going to work. So cut this out and paste it inside here, and then this is going to have a key of item.id. You can have the key to be the index here as well, by the way, it's still okay. And then now what we need to do is we need the source here to be is that correct? Item.main image. That should be correct. And then now we need to change up these classes a bit. So instead of having this one here, we're going to have it as dynamic. So we're going to have a class of relative, but then we are going to also add our variables inside here, and we're going to say when slide index is equal to index plus 1, then when this is true, let's see, when this is true, we want it to have a class of relative. Okay, and then when it is false, then we want it to be hidden. Let me see. Save it. Is this going to work? Scroll. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then next. Okay, fantastic. There we go. That's looking nice. And then now on bigger screens, we're going to have to change up this functionality because we don't want this to happen, right? So on bigger screens, we don't want these buttons to show. So let's go ahead and just do it right away. So on this URL, give this a class name and say that for large screens, then they are going to be hidden. So just hide them. And then now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually deal with our lightbox. So we want that when you click on this image, then the lightbox pops up. And before I do that, let me move this downwards and then let's restructure this properly. So let's go ahead and on our article should be not on this article. It should be on the parent of the article. So this section, we're going to say that for large screens, then place items center. We should move this downwards. And then let's go ahead and grab this. So grab these two and this should now come here. So where we have our prices. So it should be inside this div. We're going to say that for large screens, then the flex should be column. And then this is going to push them to the center, I think. Yeah, which means that now on large screens, we need to say items dash start. We should bring them to the start here. And then let's add a gap. So let's say that for large screens, let's have a gap of about 4 to separate them out just a bit. Is 4 okay? Let me see. Let's say 2. 4 is a bit big. 2 looks okay. Yeah, 2 looks okay. And then we also need this and this to display side by side on large screens. So let's go ahead and fix that as well. So right where we have, this is the UL, and then this is the div with the button. So inside this div, we're going to say that for large screens, then display this as a flexbox. Okay, and then items dash center and justify dash between. And then let's add a gap of 2. Place them to the end. Okay, and then let's go inside this UL. And then we're going to say that for large screens, then let it have a flex of 1, meaning it's going to take up 50% of its, like the width in which it is placed. Not 50%, but full width, sorry. And then copy this, and then let's go inside this div, give this a class name of flex1 as well, meaning it's going to now take up 50%. And then this has a margin on the bottom, or the button has a margin on the top. So here, let's say margin top 0, meaning it's going to push upwards. And we're going to have that. So that is our button. And then let's add a hover effect. Let's add a hover effect here. Let's say on hover, then the BG should go into orange 600. Let's add a slight transition. So transition all with a duration of 200. Let's see. Yeah, that's looking okay. Fantastic. And by the way, you can make this price to toggle depending on the value that is shown here. It's just a matter of multiplication. So just get the value here and multiply it by this, and then you can display the price. So that means that you just have to add another state value called price and then multiply it by the amount that you have inside here and then display it, and that's basically it. So what we need to do is I want to add a bit more padding on the bottom of this. So on the parent section, which is this one, let's say, do I have padding somewhere? I do not. Let's say that for large screens, then the padding on the y-axis should be 20. And then on large screens, you know what? On large screens, I don't want this margin on the top. So let's remove it. Let's see. Padding 20. Increase it. Yeah. I think this is okay, really, because on larger screens or on screens that have a higher window height, then it's going to show up like this. I think this is better. You can see? Yeah, I think it's better. And for now, let me just work with height of 80 because I want to be able to see everything that I'm dealing with here. And then now let's go ahead and create our lightbox. So our lightbox is going to be a bit of CSS positioning. And let me see where we're going to do it. So let me see. Let me just add another component here. So below this, right? Yeah, this is the header. Below this, let's have a function called lightbox. And then for now, we're going to be returning, let's just return a section, not a section, let's return an article with an h1 or an h2 that says Lightbox. And then let's give this h2 a class name of text 8xl and font bold, because I just want to see where it's going to appear. So let's go ahead and insert this Lightbox. Let's render the Lightbox. We want the Lightbox to render conditionally, right? Only when we click on this image. But for now, let me just go ahead and render it below the header. So Lightbox. Save it. And it should appear here. So Lightbox is here. And then now what we need to do is we need to position this absolute within the body so that it takes up 100% of the body. So let's go ahead and do this. Inside this article, I'm going to give this a class name of bg black. And then we're going to say position this absolute, and then bring it to the top by 0, to the left by 0, to the right by 0, and to the bottom by 0, meaning take up the entire screen. So save it, and this should now be blacked out. There we go. And then let's increase the z index, because I think this is position relative. That's why it is appearing here. So let's increase the z index of this. So let's say z index of 50. Push on top of this. There we go. And then now, in order to make it transparent, then you also need to make the background transparent or slightly opaque. Let's say bg black. Sorry, bg opacity is the class. Bg opacity -75 opacity. Let's see. There we go. So that is basically how we're going to be creating our Lightbox. So here, and then we're going to be grabbing this image and rendering it on the screen. So let's go ahead and do that. And we are going to be doing this. We need to grab the images. We need to get access to the images. How do we do that? We can pass in props to the component, so products, and we're going to do this. So we're going to pass in a props called products and set it equal to the products state value. And then now I can access the products inside here, and I can say let's have a div. Remove the space. Let's have a div, and then inside this div, let's map over our products. So products.map. And you know what? I actually need to destructure it inside here. So destructure products. And then we can say products.map. And then for every item that we get back, and then we can go ahead and just render out the same way that we rendered out the image here. Let me see. We need to render out this image. We're going to be copying quite a bit of functionality because we need to render out the image, and we also need to render out this UL. So you know what, let me just copy this entire div up to here, copy this div, and then we're going to paste it inside here. Let's see, slide index products.map. What is wrong? It says there's an error somewhere. Item products.map. For every item, this should be this should be double brackets, then item, and then add another bracket on the bottom here, and that does not fix it. Let me see, let's just cut this out. Let's say products.map for every item, then we need to render out this. Okay, and then now we're going to get an error because it doesn't know where this is coming from or where this is coming from. And then what we need to do is we always want this UL to be visible when the Lightbox is open. So we're going to remove this class of hidden. And then now what we need to do is the slide index here can remain. So we need to get the slide index. So let me see, we need to get the slide index. And then we also need to destructure the index here, therefore. And then we need to get the what's it called, the next slide and the previous slide. So let's go ahead and destructure them. I mean, we have already destructured them, but let's go ahead and pass them in as props inside here. So slide index is equal to, so slide index prop is equal to the slide index state value, and then next slide prop is equal to the next slide function, and then the previous slide prop is equal to the previous slide function. And you can call these props whatever you want. By the way, I just like to give them the same name of the function of the state value that I'm passing, so that like it just shows me, it just tells me, like gives me an idea of what the prop is about. So let's go ahead and save this, and hopefully nothing breaks. Save this, and then we should see here. There we go. So that is our slide. So that's not our slide, but this is our lightbox. You can see that it's working, right? It's working, but we want this image width to reduce. So with dash full here, we're going to remove it. Let's save it, and then let's see. Reduces the width. There we go. And then we're going to reduce this width to about, let's say, actually, by the way, do I want the lightbox to open on small screens? Maybe I do. I mean, let me see. Let's just test it out how it looks on small screens. Let's go into the 360 screen. You can see how it looks on small screens. We can move this downwards a bit. I mean, is that a good idea? If I go into this image and say give it a height of full, will that fix it? No, it does not. But I can go inside this div, give this a class name of flex. Let me see what happens. Okay, nothing happens. And then item center and justify center, and then each screen, which should now center it. But nothing still happens. Okay, there we go. Oh, it hadn't reloaded. It hadn't reloaded. So that centers it properly. And you can see that the functionality here is working, but I want our images to show here, our thumbnail images. And by the way, the reason we can make this to scroll, by the way, to scroll, because like you can see, it only takes up 100% of the screen. So if you scroll downwards, then the background color does not like persist, right? So let me change this from position absolute to position fixed. That should fix it, so that now when we scroll, then it's also going to scroll. Come on, reload. It's reloading a bit slow. There we go. So that now it reloads. Okay. So there we go. So now it scrolls with us, right? Now it scrolls. Okay. So that now even on bigger screens, it is now centered. And that is exactly what we want. And so that is our lightbox, but we need to add a cross. It has an X here so that we can close it up. And you know, this image, why does this image look a bit big for me? Let's go back inside here. Let's give this image a height of 9 out of 12 for large screens. Let's say for large screens. How does that look? Okay, so the height does nothing. Height 9 over 12. Let's say height dash a third. Okay, heights don't seem to change this. So let's reduce the width instead. So let's say width a third. Let's see how it looks. Reduce it. There we go. So let's give this a height of 96, which is 384 pixels. Yes. Height of 96, and then let's say width dash full. Span the width. Okay. So height 96 isn't really a good idea. So let me give it a custom height here. And I'm going to give this a style here. And I'm going to say that the height for this image should be 500 pixels. Oops. 500 pixels. Let's see. Too small. Let's say 800. Almost 900. Yeah, let's have 900. That's okay. Oh, though that messed up with the mobile, therefore, yeah, so annoying. So let's add a custom class to this. Oops. Let's add a class called big image. And then in our CSS, we're going to add a media query, and we're going to say that for a min width of 1024 pixels, then access the big image class and give it a height of 900 pixels. So it's only going to apply on big screens, but on small screens, you can see we're still going to have this, and on large screens, we're going to have this. That is much better. And so now what we need to do is we need to grab the lightbox and make it dependent on when we click this image. So let's go ahead and let's create another state variable here called show lightbox. So show lightbox and set show lightbox. By default is going to be false because we don't want it to show by default, right? And by the way, I've just noticed that we are no longer using this, so we can remove it. So show lightbox, and then what we're going to do is we're going to grab this lightbox, cut it out, and we're going to say that only when show lightbox state value is true, that's when we want to render our lightbox. Otherwise, we don't want to render it. So when I save this, then it's going to disappear. There we go. So now that I want that when I click on this and change this into a cursor pointer, by the way, to show that it is clickable. So right inside here should be it. So let's say cursor dash pointer. So when I click on this, when the cursor changes, so when I click on this, I want to open the lightbox. So inside this image, I'm going to add an on click, and I'm going to say when I click on this, then set show lightbox into true and save it. So let's try it out. So click on this and our lightbox shows. And then now all we need to do now is we need to add the cross here so that when you click on it, then the lightbox does not show. And in order to do that, then we're going to go into the lightbox component, and I'm going to go, let me see, we have the image here. Let me go above, let me go below this div, or above this div really. And then inside this, we're going to have an image. The source for this image should be provided. The image should be provided. Where is it? Icon close. So we're going to import the icon close, and we're going to call it the close. So just copy this down, change this into close, and then change this into icon close. And then now it should appear. So let me save it. Let me see where it appears. It should appear somewhere here. Where is it? It has appeared, but where is it? Oh, here it is. Here it is. So let's increase the width of this. So I'll give this a class name of width dash 20. How big is that? Insanely big. So let's say width dash 10. And then probably it should be here. Probably, but that is going to mess up with the styling. But I want to position this absolute within this div. So this should be correct. So let me position this absolute, bring it to the top by 0 and to the right by 0. So that now it's going to be somewhere here. Yeah. And then now I'm going to go inside this div and give this a class of relative. So that now it's going to appear somewhere here, somewhere, or not. Reload just to make sure. Let's see. So it still appears here. Okay, so you know what? Instead of doing that, therefore, then let me just bring this back upwards. Let me just bring it back upwards, and then add a space here, and then let's bring it to the top by 10 and to the right by 10, so that it should appear somewhere here. Okay, this is okay, but then now let me grab this and place it to be a button, and then add an on click on this button. So on click, I want to say pass in my inline function, inline function, and say set show lightbox into false, which means we need to get this function. So let's destructure this set show lightbox, and then let's also pass it in as a prop inside here. So copy this down, Control D, and say set show lightbox, and then save this. And then now when I click on this, then it should disappear, and when I click on this, it appears. There we go. So the reason why I've left this here is because I don't want to deal with the CSS required to bring it here, but the functionality is working correctly, so it doesn't really bother me all that much. And this is also, oh, this is not working. What? This is not working. It's because now it is not dependent on the main image. So that means we're going to create two components for mobile and desktop. Okay, let's fix that. Remember where we removed something here? We removed the main image, so let's bring it back. Main image is equal to products of what was it? Value. Oops, is that correct? Products value, that's all. And so what we're going to do therefore is this, because we want this to show up. So let's do this. We're going to do this very same thing, But now what we need to do is we need to display this as hidden on large screen so that it disappears here. Okay, so it's going to disappear. And let me, where does this div end? It ends here. And so what we need to do is we're just going to copy this div, copy it downwards here, and then here it's going to be hidden by default, and then on large screens it's going to display as a block element. And then we're going to have let me see products.map. We don't need products.map. We don't need to map over anything here. We only need the image. We don't need this UL, so remove this UL. We need only this div. So, and we need to remove this as well. And we can have that, so save it. Let's see. Display the big image. And there we go. So the functionality remains. And then on small screens, right around there, the functionality also remains. Okay, fantastic. And so next, what we need to do is we need to handle our header on small screens. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and let's bring this in. And you know what, I'm realizing that this is becoming such a huge component. So let's refactor a bit. So let's go ahead and create a new folder inside the source folder called components. And then let's create a header.js. And then inside header.js, we're going to grab this all the way up to here, cut it out and paste it inside here. And then we're just going to change this into export default function. And then we need to get this logo. We need to get the outline. So get the logo here, cut this out, paste it inside the header on top of this. We also need the AI outline. So copy this part because this is also being used somewhere inside this component. So paste it below this. What else do we need? The avatar image. So cut this out because it's only in the header and paste it inside here. Save this. And then we can remove this. And then we need to import the header. So import header from ./components / header. And then we need to do the same thing for the Lightbox. So cut this out all the way up to here. Cut it out. And then let's just create a component called lightbox.js. Paste this in. And then let's see, we need to get this. We need to paste it on top of this. And then change this into export default function. Then save it. Let's see, what else do we need? That should be correct. That should be correct. Let's save it. Let's see whether anything breaks. Reload just to make sure. Okay, can't resolve logo in here, so this should be coming from /images, then /images. Save it. Let's see. Lightbox is not defined because we need to import it here. So copy this down, change this into Lightbox. Save it, and then let's see. Reload. Can't find icon close here because it should be coming from /images. Save it. And then now, where is it? FA chevron is not defined. Oops. So that's because we need to copy this and paste it here, save it. What else? What other error do we have? Okay, there we go. There we go. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and delete our header. And our header is going to have the following. We need to import the menu icon. Let me see whether it's provided. So icon menu here. So let's go, just let's say import menu from /images / icon-menu.svg. And then we need the menu icon to appear beside this image. So I'm going to make this into a UL. So a UL with 2 list items. And the second list item is going to be our logo. And then the first one is going to be an image. The source for this image is going to be the menu icon. So that now it's going to appear here. And then let's test this out. So let's give this a class name of flex and item center and justify start with a gap of 4. And then we're going to also style this out. We're going to say that, give this a class name and say that for large screens, then display this as hidden. There we go. So on large screens, it's not going to be visible, but on small screens, it's going to be visible. And so let's see what we need to do. You know what? Let me make this into a button. So paste it into a button. And then now we are going to do this. Why does it move to the top when you place it inside the button? Huh. Okay, then let's just give this a class name of cursor pointer. Cursor dash pointer. And so let's go ahead and style this navbar to look like this. Where is it? To look like this for the navbar. So instead of displaying this as hidden, let me remove it so that it now is going to show. And then let's go into our CSS, and just below this, we're going to access the navbar, and we're going to say position this, position absolute. And now let me say position fixed because I want to be able to scroll with the navbar. So position fixed, and then bring it to the top by 0, 0 to the left by 0. And then let me say give it a width of 90%, or let me say 70%. And then let me also say give it a height of 100%. Let's see how it looks. It's because I have something. Where's the, close this, where's the header here? I have this as a flex item, so let's remove this for now. And so we're going to have this. Let's also increase the Z index here, change it to about 99, make it on top of everything, and then let's give it a background color of white. Oops, white. There we go. And then let's also give it, let me just say apply a very slight box shadow so that it applies a tailwind box shadow. And let me say shadow dash 2XL. Yeah, that's much better. And then let's also give it a padding all around. Let's say give it a padding all around of 8. And then now let's access the UL, so the nav by ULs. And then let me say apply. You can just use tailwind here. So apply flex and item center and flex column. And then let me say give this a gap of 4, separate them out. Okay, not item center, I want them to be item start. And then let's access the list items. So the nav ULLI, we're going to say apply, and we're going to say font bold, and let's say text large. Okay, fantastic. So this is how it looks when the navbar is open, but by default it's going to be closed. Let me also add cursor pointer here. Oops, cursor dash pointer. So by default it's going to be closed. That means that I'm going to add a custom class here called open, so that when the navbar has the class of open, then we're going to do all this. So bring it here, copy this here. Oops, did I not copy it? Top and left here, copy this here. The background color does not need to be here, it needs to be here. Okay, save it. And then the box shadow, you know, even this shadow and padding it, I think should be here. Okay. And then now I'm just going to say bring it to the left by minus 1,000 or 100 viewport widths. So take it completely away to the left so that now it's not visible, right? So let's add an on click on this icon. So here I'm going to say that when I click on this, then I want to toggle a state value which we're going to create, and we're going to call it set is open and is open. So we're going to say set is open to, let me say to what is it, to true. That is correct. And then let's go ahead and create the state value. So const is open and set is open. This is going to be equal to use state and import it from React. So move this upwards because it is a high level import, and it's going to be false by default because we don't want it to show by default, right? And then we're going to do this. So set is open to true. And then on the navbar here, we're going to add a dynamic class, and we're going to do this, add our curly brackets and say when is open is true, then we want the navbar to have a class of open, and then otherwise it's just going to remove the class of open. So let's save this. Let's try it out. There we go. So it opens up, right? But then let's also add a very slight transition here. So let's say transition all the elements by 0.3 seconds, 0.3 seconds, and then let's say ease in out. Let's reload this and test it out. So click on this. There we go. So it transitions inside, right? And then now what we need to do is we need to add our X icon here. So let's go ahead and do what? We need to add our close icon. So let's first import the close icon. So grab this too, just change this to close. And then we're going to copy this part. Copy this top part downwards, change this to false, and then change this to the close icon. But you'll notice that they're now going to both appear, right? And so what we need to do is this. We need to grab this part, cut it out, and we're going to conditionally render it. And when we're going to say that only when is open is true, that's when we want this to render. And then we're going to grab this and say that when not is open, meaning when it is false, then we don't want the menu icon to appear. Save it, and then let's see what we're going to have. Of course, nothing is going to appear because we need to style this out. So give this a class name of absolute and top. Wait a minute, that's not going to work. It's not going to work because even if you had a z-index of 50 here, it's still not going to appear on top of this because the navbar has a z-index of 99. So it's less than the one on the navbar. So let's give this a custom class of close, and then let's style it out. So below the navbar here, let's access the class of close, and we're going to say at apply absolute, so position absolute, bring it to the top by 8, to the left by 8, and then let's add a custom z-index here. Let's say z-index of 999, so that it is on top of this. There we go. And then let's also add a width of about 20, no 10. 20 was too big. Save it, come on, and reload. Does it reload? Why isn't it reloading? Come on, open up. So width 10 is a bit too small. Width 20. Wait a minute, that won't work because this needs to be on the image here. So on the image, we're going to say width dash 20. How big is that? Too big. So width dash 10, width dash 6, and then let's go inside the nav bar. So inside the nav should be here. So now instead of let me say this is to the top by 0. If I increase this to about 10 or to 10%, then it's going to move everything downwards. Or it doesn't. Why aren't things working the way I expect them to work? Oh, it moves it downwards, but only when like the navbar opens. That's why you saw it's as though it came from the down, right? So let's just take this back to 0. And then when I'm going to say this, I'm going to add a margin top. Margin top, set this to about 100 pixels. Let's see. Okay, so it moves everything. So instead of margin top, we're going to say padding top, because padding doesn't mess with things here. Why are you not working? Grab this, place it inside the ULs here. That should now work. There we go. 60 pixels. Yeah, that's much better. And then now when I click on this, then it closes, and then it opens, and it closes, and it opens, and it closes. Looking nice, looking nice. What do we have to do next? We need to add to cart. I think that is the last thing. And the add to cart, by the way, like I still haven't figured out how to add it to the cart properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create the UI for add to cart, and then in a later video or in future when I figure out how to do this to add to cart, then I'm just going to like place an addition to this video. So let me do this. Let's go ahead and create our cart component. So let's create a new component called cart.js, and then let's just say RFC to create a React function component. and then let's render it out inside app.js, and it's going to be rendered when this is clicked, when the cat icon is clicked. So where do we have our cat icon? Where are you? Where is it? It's inside the header. Yes, it's inside here. So what we're going to do therefore is I can render it as a list item, I think being the keyword. Also, let's render cat here, and then let's import it. So import cat from /cat, and we should see something here. There we go. And then now what we need to do is, let me place this here. We need to style out this cat. So let's style this out. Let's have an article, and then give this article a class name of bg white with a rounded dash, let's say 2xl, with shadow dash 2xl, and then let me say padding on round of 8, and then let's have an h2 that says should be sneakers for now. Sneakers, how does the cat look like? So it says cat first of all, so it says cat on top, and then it has a border on the bottom here. So give this a class name of border dash b and border dash slate dash 600 or 400. Let's see. And then we need this image, and then we need the checkout button. So we're going to have a button here that says checkout, and for this button I'm just going to copy the classes that we have in our app.js, should be here. So copy these classes here. Oops. Copy this and then paste them inside here. And then we don't need this flex. We don't need the flex here because we are not rendering any icon. And then let's see, margin top 0. This we can remove. Actually, yeah, we can remove it. So there's the checkout button. We also need to add this image, so thumbnail 1. So let's import thumbnail 1. So import thumbnail from /images / actually, is it even here? It's not here, it is only in the public folder. So let's just copy one of these images. So thumbnail, copy this and paste it inside images here. So image product 1 thumbnail. So import image dash product dash 1 dash thumbnail.jpg. And then what we need to do now is we need to render a UL. Is it? No, let me render a div. This div is going to have an image first, image being the thumbnail. Thumbnail has 1h. And then below this, we're going to render a UL, which is this one, and then the text. So a UL with 2 list items. This one says autumn limited edition. So autumn, you know what? See how this text says ... because it's not rendering everything. So let me create something. Let me create a value here called text. So const text is equal to, set this equal to autumn limited edition sneakers, I think it is. And then here, let's render the text. And then below this, we're going to be rendering, we're just going to render this as hard coded. So it should be $125.00 times 3. So times 3. And then this should be inside a span because it is bolded font. So a $375.00. And I've said that it's inside a span because it's a bolded font. That's not actually true. I'm placing it inside a span because I want to style it to be bolded font. Not that when you place something inside a span, then it's going to be bold. Just to make things clear. And then now we have our delete icon here. So we're going to have a button. This button is going to be an image that says delete. And let me see whether it's provided. Icon delete. So let's get it. So let's say import delete from /images / icon -delete.svg. And then now it should render here. Why is this giving me an error? Why are you giving me an error? Image source. What? delete cannot be called. Okay, icon delete them. Icon delete. There we go. Make this camel case. And then save this, and then let's see what you have on the screen. And there we go. And then now we need to position this as absolute within this. So let's go back and say, where is it? Actually, let me, wait a minute. Wait. Huh. This is the article. I want it to be positioned absolute within what? Where's the header? Where's my header? Here it is. So the cat is positioned absolute. I want this to be positioned absolute within this div, should be it. So give this div a class name of relative. Save it. And then now we can go ahead and begin to do things with this. So let me just go to the end and say position this as absolute. Let me see where it goes. There we go. Let's give it a width of about, 9/12 for small screens. Oops. Let's say width dash full. Where does that go? Huh. Is that wrong? Is position relative within what? The shopping cart icon and what? Okay, let me not position relative to this. Let me position it relative to the header. So give this a class of relative. Save it. And then, okay, there we go. And then now I can go back inside the cart and give this a height of 90% with dash 9/12. Not 90%, but 75%. Okay, that's not what I want. So let's go ahead and remove this. Let me add a custom style here. And I'm going to say the width for this is going to be 300 pixels. Oops. I keep forgetting this is JavaScript. 300 pixels. There we go. And then let's go ahead and let's say bring it to the right by 0. And then bring it to the top by 10. How is it positioned? How is it positioned? Oh, probably I should do this for mobile first. I should probably do this for mobile first, because starting it out is going to be easier. So let's go back inside here. Let's break this once again. So we're going to say, where are you? I'm going to say remove this first. Okay. And then we're going to have to add a custom z index here anyway. So z index, set this to about 1000, that it is completely on top. There we go. So instead of right 0, this should be right of 8. And then let's also say left of 8. Let me see where it goes. Left of 8. And then let's also bring it to the top by 32. Should bring it here. There we go. Because it has a padding of 8 here and of 8 here. So padding of 8 is about 32 pixels, I think. Let me see. Padding of 8 here is 32 pixels to rem. So bring it to the top by 32 pixels is going to place it here nicely. And then let's style this out now to be better looking. So inside here, make this font bold, font dash bold. Let's make it text dash. Wait a minute, I'm zoomed in, right? I was zoomed in. So reset. Okay. Font bold. Let's move this. Let's say padding bottom of 2 to push it away from this border. And then let's say margin bottom of 8 to push it away from this image. And then let's go inside this image, give this a class name of, is it rounded? Very slightly rounded. So let me say here, let's say rounded dash large, and then let's say width dash 20. Let's say width dash 14. And then let's go inside this div, give this div a class name of width, sorry, not width, but flex. And then items dash center, and then justify dash between. And the effect here is just a bit minimal, but you can see that it works. And then now what you need to do is, I don't want to render this entire text, so I'm going to cut this out, and I'm going to say this, place in my backticks and my $sign brackets, and I'm going to say render the text, and when I save this, you can see that nothing changes. But I want to get a substring of the text, so I'm going to say get it from 0 to about 20, and then render dot dot dot. So we're going to have something here, edition dot dot dot. So instead of 20, I want to render the entire word called edition, so edition dot dot dot. That should be it. There we go. You can see that it works nicely. Let me see how this is done. So this is a bit lighter, so let's go inside this list item and this one, give this a class name of text slate 600 and text small, and then let's go inside this span, give this a class name of font, sorry, not yeah, should be font bold is correct, and then text slate dash 900, and there we go. Would you look at that? So that is our cart. All we need to do now is just scale it up for bigger screens, so right around here. So on large screens, then I want this to display differently. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go here and say that for large screens, then the width of this should be 96, which is 384 pixels. Reduce it. And then now we're going to say that for large screens, bring it to the right by 8. We should now bring it here. Bring it here. Oh, wait a minute. It's already to the right by 8. So what we need to do is we need to say left auto, I think. We should bring it here. There we go. And then let me see how it looks. How does it look on large screens? Let's scroll back. Let's scroll back. Where is the cut? Here it is. Also, the cut is active when we click. No, these are the active. This is the active states. Okay, these are the active states. So let's see. The cut is here. I need to push it just a bit upwards. So for large screens, I'm going to say bring it to the top by 20. So that it moves upwards just a bit. There we go. And then now let's add the click event on the cut. So let's go back into our header, and then we're going to say we're going to set up another state value here called open cut, and set open cut. This, you know what? Let me call it cut is open, and set cut is open. This is going to be equal to use state. Default is going to be false. And the reason I've chosen to call it like this is because it is more descriptive. And so what we need to do is add an on-click event on this button, where we're going to say set cut is open to true, or not, to the opposite of cut is open. Meaning if cut is open is false, then set it to true, and then if it is true, then set it back to false. So basically we are creating a toggle, so that when I save this, and it should disappear by default, but it doesn't because we need to render it conditionally here. So we're going to say only when cut is open is true, that's when I want to render the cut. So save it and it should disappear. Okay, and then now when I click on this, then it appears, and when I click on it again, it disappears. So there we go. Would you look at that? And then now what do we need to do? Oh, I've just remembered our header is not showing. Our icons, our links are not showing. So let's fix that. Let's fix that, and then I think that is going to be the end of the project. So control and backslash to add whatever this is called, I'm forgetting the name. And then what we're going to do is at 10.4 pixels, we're going to access the navbar, and we're going to be resetting these styles. So we're going to set this back to position relative, and then relative, and then we're going to say top 0, that can remain 0 there, left 0, width, we're going to set this into auto, we're going to set the height into auto, we're going to set the z index into auto, we're going to set the transition can remain, doesn't really matter, and then we're also going to access the nav open, and we're going to say padding top, set this to 0, and then let's see, what am I doing? Oh, I was looking at this. So let's see, for the nav open, we're going to say at apply, and not we can just add it inside here because Telion has classes. So we're going to say shadow none, so remove the box shadow. Can't see what I'm typing. What is this? and then the padding is going to reset to 0. So padding 0 on large screens. This should say on large screens. And then now open here, we're going to say background color, set this to transparent, and then let's see, left 0, top 0. Okay, and then we're going to go into the nav ul, and we're going to say padding top, set this to 0. And then inside here, flex call, we're going to say that for large screens we're going to say flex row. So instead of a column, it's going to be a row. Gap of 4 can remain, I think. And then we need to reset this as well. We're going to say that for large screens, then the font should go back to normal. Oops. Okay, normal. And then for large screens, then the the text should go back to the base font, meaning 16 pixels. And then save this, and it should appear here. There we go. There we go. Fantastic. So on small screens, then the navbar disappears, and then on large screens, then it appears. There we go. That's looking okay, and even when it is open, fantastic. So that's looking okay. All you need to do now is just submit this project. And I know I missed a few things here and there, but that's okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to be working on add to cart, and once I figure it out, then I'm just going to do like a short video or showing how to add it to the cart dynamically, so that you don't have to hard code it the way I've done it inside here. Okay, so let me go ahead and create a GitHub repository for this. GitHub repository, and then let me also log into Netlify so that we can deploy it. And then let's check Frontend meta so that we can submit it. And then, by the way, confirm that you don't have any errors or warnings. And then you can Control C to shut this down, and then close this, and then we can close everything inside here. And then let's do this. So repositories, let me create a new repository, and I'm going to call this e-commerce-yt, or let me call it e-commerce-product, product page-yt, then create repository, and then copy this link, Control J to open up your terminal, and then let's say git add all. Okay, adding, and then git commit -m, let's say project complete, and then let me say git push, okay, git remote add origin, and then paste in our link, and then git push -u origin main to push it to GitHub. And then let's reload this part, and you can see that this is going to be our repository. So now all we need to do is just log into Netlify and deploy it. So let's add a new site from an existing project from GitHub, and then let's search for e-commerce-product-page, and then we're going to be getting the YT one, so the YT, and then let's just say deploy site, and then change the site name into, let me say TsbSankara, let's say e-commerce, e-commerce -yt. Let me just say e-commerce YT here, and then let's wait for this to finish deploying, and then you can submit it. So once it deploys, then we can go ahead and visit this link, and we should see our application. And there we go. That's looking nice. That's looking nice. That is looking. Oh, I just noticed something. I forgot to change this back to the default image. So in our code, I forgot to change the default value here. Where are you? I forgot to change where is it, the value here to 0. I forgot to change it. That's why it's showing this one as the first image, but I mean it's still okay. But let me just make that change. So git add all, git commit, let me say change default image, and then oops, made a spelling mistake. So git commit -- amend. That's how you change your commit messages. make this proper. So change default image and then save it and close. And that's how you change your commit message and say git push. That should do it. And so it pushes, and then Netlify will trigger a redeploy, and it's going to fix that. So as it does that, then let me copy this link and then let's submit this. So submit solution. Let's submit the live site URL, the repository URL as well. Copy this and paste it here. And then let's say mobile first. Let's say e-commerce product page in React.js and Tailwind CSS. There we go. And then we can just say submit solution. And then wait a moment. And so there we go. So we can view solution to see what we have. And loading. There we go. Would you look at that? This is our solution, and then this is the design. Looking almost nice. And oh, it captured the error here. It captured it, but that's okay. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but looking quite nice if I do say so myself. It does look nice. So yeah, that is going to be the end of the video. And if you enjoyed it, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.